Not wanting to think about the possibility, her face darkened. Never mind, forget about it. Yeah, let's just drop this again, because... Why exactly again? Like, because we feel bad for her? Even though she's an accomplice to this crime that directly involves me? In the end, I made no progress. She didn't know what was going on, nor was she willing to contact the big sis for me. Ooh, am I, like, tripping? And I felt horrible. My fluctuating body temperature confirmed my theory. That and a muscle soreness indicated a fever. Shit. Getting sick now of all times. I couldn't even stay awake, let alone escape. The girl was still reading a book next to the wall, having no clue about all the ideas floating in my mind. She was by herself with the knife only a few steps away. My hands were still tied up, but I could still move them a little. I could call her over, knock her out, and cut the rope loose. A sense of unease surfaced, along with all sorts of possibilities in my mind. What if she dodged it? What if the door was blocked? Could there be someone else? I didn't see much of a chance to succeed, not that I have any idea where to start. Take her as a hostage, maybe? I also might end up hurting her accidentally. Fucking pussy. She didn't seem to know what she was doing, nor had she actually threatened me. Did you forget about her holding the knife? I should avoid violence against her unless I had no choice. I made up my mind and started to think of other options. Visibly shaking my head? Big sis? Huh? What? Hearing the girl's voice, I came back to my senses and realized she was staring at me. All sorts of ridiculous ideas intertwined in my brain. I shouldn't make any rash decisions with this messy mind. Do you hate Big Sis? Who would like the kidnapper? It's not like I had Stockholm syndrome. I think she's pretty fucking hot. I wanted to reply like that, but I kept it down. It didn't matter what I thought. I had to come up with a response that would make her drop her guard based on what she wanted to hear. Saying that I like her might be too much, so I should reply with... I don't know. Let's just reply like she does usually. I don't know. No, I don't know. Oh, I love Big Sis. She just looked at me after my response. Silence spread across the air like a wall between us. I don't really know her, so I can't say if I like or hate her. I see. Big Sis is not a bad person, really. Is she, like, how old are you actually, and how old are you mentally? Are you like 5? Do you realize what she's doing with me or not? Can you comprehend? She hugged her knees as though trying to convince herself. The quiet voice seemed to lack some confidence. We just wanted to pay off the debt. We don't really want to do this. Oh. Zooming in on her what exactly? Her pinky? What's going on? Game? Is it me tripping? Again? I'm slowly zooming. No. The girl's eyes under her bangs were as clear as a lake's surface, void of any deceit. Did they fucking miss-zoomed or something? Because we're seeing her hand, not her eyes. She never suspected her... Can I scroll? No, I cannot scroll the picture or something. She never suspected her sister of any other motive for simply using her. After all this, she still chose to believe in Big Sis and tried to defend her. Why? Seeing her... This is showing off now. What the fuck was this supposed to be? Seeing her desperation, I only felt emptiness. What was this? It just flipped the image for a split second. Oh my god, surely the George Lucas of visual novels here. She worked so hard to make money, but they kept coming to her for more, even though it has nothing to do with her. She was still murmuring her explanation, yet it annoyed me like tinnitus next to my brain. Even though she genuinely wanted to persuade me, even though a Big Sis might have her reasons, I felt nothing. She might not realize, but I just didn't care. I wanted to escape and return back to my normal life. I haven't wanked off in 3 days. You do realize what this does to a young man, right? I didn't care if this Big Sis was a good or a bad person or had a miserable past. I would literally fuck a pumpkin right now. Why she committed this crime had nothing to do with me. Seeing her serious expression, I opened my mouth but swallowed my words eventually. I sighed lightly. I couldn't tell if I envied her naiveness or hated my cold heart. Oh, dude. You're so badass. What now? Is there anything left to observe, really? We haven't taken a look at the chair yet, I believe. Simple wooden chair, unpolished just like the desk. It's quite rough, as though it was actually made by hand. I'm not sure how old this chair is, but I can almost smell its level of decay. Have we taken a look at the clock yet? Because it says we don't know how late it is. You'd think that he can just take a look at the clock at a glance, but no, I have to spend an action on this. A closer look reveals that the clock is not moving. The hands point at 5:46. I feel like we've done this before. All my time estimates are pointless now. Who knows how much time has passed? Even though I don't know the time, at least I'm not misguided by the wrong information. It did update my notes. Can we still talk about the cold, even though we now have a blanket? So cold. She made a sound to indicate she heard me. I waited a while before continuing to talk. If only it was a little warmer. With my movements restrained, I had no way to get information if they didn't talk to me. To get information from her, I needed to find a way to make her talk. After all, telling her directly, I want to talk, was most likely wouldn't work. I want some coffee? You really don't talk much, do you? The coffee thing. Drop the coffee thing. Really, seriously, how addicted can you be to be kidnapped and the only thing you think of, nutrition-wise, is fucking coffee? Really don't talk much, do you? No. One word ended the conversation. Even I didn't know how to continue. Even I, the master conversationalist, regardless of our difference in age and background, plus the fact she was the kidnapper's accomplice. That was fucking useless. I got nothing out of this segment. And it's noon now. Great. The sister's bound to return soon. My cloudy consciousness gradually cleared. It looked like I fell asleep without noticing. The sky outside the window was dyed crimson. The freezing wind brushing against my cheek made me tremble. I didn't know how long I had slept, but my body showed no signs of recovering. The rope cut into my flesh like ant bites. My struggling out of annoyance only led to torn skin. What time is it? 5. The girl was at the same spot, quiet like a delicate porcelain doll. Does she never have to use the toilet or something? Why do you keep asking me the time? Because that's all you will tell me, right? Knowing the time wouldn't change anything, but the sense of cluelessness was just unbearable. Shit, my head hurt. She was not a good conversation partner, but I tried anyway to keep myself awake. If you buy me a coffee, I can give you all the money I have. The fucking coffee again! My heavy head made me say the most random of things like a drunk man. You like coffee? She raised her head and stared at me with curiosity. That big sis would have shut me up, but at least she chatted with me here and there. Nothing is more pleasant than drinking coffee in this weather, well, except a hot bath. I don't, too bitter. You learn how to enjoy it. Different coffee beans have different tastes. How you're prepared is also a factor. Filter drip isn't real coffee at all. Only pour-over coffee can bring out the fragrance. There's something wrong with those latte lovers. The only proper coffee is black coffee. They may as well just drink milk. Yes, because milk is the superior drink, you fucking cuck. Hearing all my critiques, she made a comment. You really like to talk. Yes, he really does. Do you have a better alternative? Facing my question, she started to contemplate seriously. Just sleep? And she might be right about that. She spoke timidly, as though fearing that I would scold her. Great idea. Please let me know how to just sleep with my hands tied and my body hungry and cold. I would argue that when your body goes into shutdown, it gets very easy to fall asleep. Because that's literally what happens when you're about to die. I started coughing before I could respond. I didn't even have the strength to joke around. If this kept up, I would cough myself to death before they killed me. Yes, because a cold is gonna kill you, sure. Living like this was worse than death. Man, this dude needs to die, right? We need to kill him in order to shut him up. I recalled this line from a book and found it super fitting. He's like 12 and this is deep. The girl stared at me for a while, then came over carefully with the knife. Don't you worry, I couldn't resist you even if you were empty-handed. Ignoring my mockery, she partly squatted before me. I then felt a slightly cold touch. You have a fever. Thanks for telling me. Is that it? Thanks for telling me. Realizing I was mocking her, she frowned unhappily, not sure what to do. I'm sorry. Are you happy now? I didn't know why, but the more they showed their concern, the more I found the annoyance unbearable. You really are the worst dude I've ever witnessed, protagonist Kun. What do you mean? Don't you want to see me suffer? What a tasteless hobby. We don't. Ignoring her explanation, I closed my eyes to rest. And suddenly it works, I guess. This is ridiculous. There was the sound of the bike's motor outside of the window. The second day it returns at night. You have so much time. You had so much time yesterday, about like 10 hours. You had so much time today, again, about like 10 hours to escape. And you didn't. You just didn't. It's your own fucking fault. I hope you die, my friend. The girl raised her head sharply and ran out to welcome her big sis. Ran out! Notice, ran out. No door is locked or blocked. Everything is open. You could just stand up and most likely walk straight out. I had no idea where she'd been. The girl's hair was still messy and she held plastic bags from a convenience store in her hands. I would assume she was in a convenience store then. I'm back. Is everything alright? Big sis. The little girl worriedly explained the status of my body. The big sis frowned upon hearing it. Give me a second, I got a message just now. Okay, I will take care of it. You should eat something now. Like, just a quick second, I'm very sorry. Could be like important, right? After calmly petting her little sister's head and asking her to take the plastic bags, the girl coldly looked down on me. So what's wrong with you now? Who knows? Food poisoning maybe? Not wanting to show my weakness before I gathered my strength to reply. Food poisoning through crackers, that's the worst way to go. Also, wouldn't you shit yourself if you had food poisoning? If you can still joke around, it probably isn't too bad. The smell of cigarettes from her made me dizzy. She covered my forehead with the back of her hand and checked my body temperature in a much rougher way than the little girl. Did she stick her finger up your ass or what? What a fragile body you have here, rich boy. Can't take some wind? Don't you know I'm delicate? Yes, don't you know I am delicate? Please take good care of me. I spoke without thinking. I was too tired to care if that would trigger her. Why, you? Seemingly more frustrated than angry, she pressed her lips and started to check the ropes on me. The rope is pointless now. I can't. Just shut up if you can't even say the full sentence. Noticing I couldn't even breathe from the cuffing, she left those words but also loosened her grip. You should care more about me spreading disease than escaping. I'm not a greenhouse flower like you. This sort of cold is nothing. I still have to work even with a fever. If I take a day off, I might just lose my job the next day. You've no idea, right? Rich boy? I had no idea, nor did I give a fuck. I didn't pick the job for you, so what was the point of complaining about that to me? Actually read about that one. It was hard to keep your emotions under control when you felt horrible. I decided to change the subject to avoid an argument, rather. Yeah, I guess he's hangry. Did my dad pay? Why would I keep you here if he did? Do you think I like tying you up? They did make contact yesterday, so they should have been discussing the details of the ransom. Ignoring a provocation, I forced myself to focus on the intel at hand. Common ways were money transfer or cash in a bag. Money transfer? Where to? You would know who! However, money transfers could be traced, yes, and physical cash was difficult to arrange. I heard some kidnappings used Bitcoin or other virtual currency instead, more secure and flexible than cash. Even a high schooler with a bat could kidnap someone. The question was how to get out of the situation. And this is where it all falls apart mostly. Save your breath and just rest. I have no desire to call a doctor if you pass out. Thanks for the heads up. She had a point. I shouldn't find more things to torture myself with outside of just my body. I tried to lean back and let the wall take some of the weight. This was a more comfortable pose than what I had in the past few days. But it only made me feel just a tiny little bit better, far from having a good rest. Sis, can I have all these? The girl took out all kinds of food from the bag, bread, cookies and steaming hot Oden. The smell only made my headache worse. I already had dinner, so you just dig in. She replied softly, treating her in a totally different manner. Hey, it is one thing to not share your food, but of all the foods you could pick. The little girl stopped moving her chopsticks and looked at her sister with a pleading expression, as though asking her what to do. Isn't it only fair? We were eating instant ramen when you were having a feast. There's no way these sorts of cheap foods are to your taste. What the hell? Hearing her nonsensical accusation, I was too exhausted to retort. What? Say something. Usually you tell me to shut up. I've had enough. The fierce headache took away the last of my patience. Her provoking expression finally made me lose control of my emotions. Here we go, guys. It's gonna happen. Right. I am the rich boy who lives in a giant mansion, rinses my mouth with expensive wine, and has dozens of maids and butlers. A snap of my fingers and someone will bring me whatever I want. I smashed a plate to the ground ground after 2 bites, then whine about what kind of crap this is. Someone drives me to school every day. I hate LV. I have LV bags and Rolex watches. What are LV? Oh, Louis Vuitton, I get it. I guess I'm not a rich boy. All my accessories from top to bottom cost millions of Taiwan dollars. And your poor ass can never ever even afford one of them. How is that? Is that what you have in mind? There was no thought behind those words, just my accumulated rage and frustration coming out like a flood. I was tired of this conversation. There was no middle ground. They forced their imaginative perception upon me and totally ignored what they had seen. You don't know shit about me, nor do you give a fuck. From the very beginning, you've decided to hate me just because I live a better life than you. All rich people should die. All of them are trash that can't help themselves from running over people with their fancy cars, right? Again, we've had this conversation before. Yes, that is what they do. So cut the bullshit if you don't know anything. The blood all rushed to my head. I was close to passing out from the headache, but yelled at the top of my lungs anyway. The room echoed with my sound. The little girl curled up next to the wall with a scared expression as though I wasn't tied up. Are you fucking kidding me? Her eyes flashed with a raging fire, and she yelled back at me with equal force. It's actually a good looking picture. Can we, like... Very nice. I like that. It's very dynamic. Unlike the weakness the little girl showed, the big sis stood up forcefully. Have you ever felt hungry? Ever worried where to sleep at night? Ever had someone burst open your door to collect debt? Well, the first 2 things happened the past 3 days, so... I don't know shit about you? Then what the fuck do you know about me, huh? I didn't kidnap you! What's your problem? Do you know what we were dealing with when you was going to school? Or when you were sleeping? That's why I hate you a lot. By what right can you live like that? By what right can you speak like that? The right of having money. I'm sorry, this is the way the world works. I don't like it either, okay? But seriously, just because his father has money doesn't mean he's living the good life. You don't care about us because it's none of your business. That's right, everyone lives their own life. It's time to realize that. Yes, it isn't. I didn't care what would happen to me. I just wanted to vent all my frustration from my chest. So should I feel guilty for Siberian refugees? Feel responsible for ISIS? Give me a break. Why should I feel responsible for your life? Why should I kneel before you and apologize? I have nothing to do with your poverty. He's actually right about that. He most likely doesn't have anything to do with it. Not he. Other people. The ones that actually make the money. They are the reason. And it is my fault? Her raised fist smashed against the wall. The girl's roar was mixed with sobbing. Her voice echoed through the room. Everything seemed to stop at that moment. Her face was twisted with rage, with lips turned blood red from biting. I could also see her hand trembling. You think I enjoy this? You think I don't want to live better? I fucking wish I was born with a silver spoon in my ass! I edited that sentence because I think it fits her better. Why can some people have a comfortable life without doing anything? Why does my life have to be a living hell? Tell me! Facing the girl's emotional accusations, I couldn't respond immediately. Oh, it wasn't either of our faults. It wasn't even about any individual, but something that was decided before our birth. No reason, no explanation. The world is just not fair. The world is simply unfair, said the snail as it crossed the road, died, and doomed 6 billion people. Remembering what she said before, I repeated it. Hearing that, the girl burst into laughter. It sounded relaxed yet mocking, a mysterious, crazy laughter. Yes, the world isn't fair, so none of us should complain about what happens in this goddamn world, right? Fuck it, I'm gonna stick that fucking lamp up your pussy. You... like... what is this... this... I can't, like, she's unhinged. She's crazy, right? Not able to find any words, I averted my gaze. This is ridiculous. I'm dying again. Exhaustion took over me once I calmed down. I could barely talk when I leaned against the wall weakly. Chill, someone might call the cops if he yelled this loud. She looked at me over her shoulder, then clicked her tongue unhappily. Shut up, I don't want to beat up a dying person. How nice of you, I said half jokingly, feeling much more relaxed after releasing all my pent-up thoughts. I couldn't focus my eyes anymore. Enduring my fluctuating body temperature, I powerlessly closed my eyes. It was only everlasting loneliness in the darkness. Tired. Cold. How much longer before this was over? Would I be free if I just gave up? Give up what exactly? Well, if you have already given up, there's nothing for you to give up anymore. You've already told you would give all your money. Could I just let it all go and sleep forever? Oh, you want to die? Well, that's nice. And fine by me. It is hot. Amidst the cloudiness, an icy cold hand covered my forehead. I had no strength to open my eyes and could only identify the speakers from their voices. What a pussy, acting like a dying man just because of a cold. Easy for you to say. I deserved some credit for remaining sane after being kidnapped and treated like this. Big sis, will he die? Hearing the mumbling from the little girl, I realized how my senses became sharper after I closed my eyes. Even the air temperature felt extra vivid. There was another hand on my forehead, along with the scent of a cigarette. It takes more than that to kill someone. Despite her words, there was doubt in her voice. It took a while before I heard her voice again. Look after him for me, I'll be right back. Click, thud, thud. I suddenly felt a weight on my body. Sitting on my face or something? No. A soft cotton blanket held in my body heat, making it feel much warmer. I could sense the girl next to me with her gaze and maybe even her breathing. My eyes were closed, but I felt her gaze. No, it was probably just my imagination. I couldn't connect the broken thoughts in my mind. I passed out again. The best thing to happen to you in this situation, it's like passing the time and resting. Ah, you're back. Mommy needs to head out and take care of something, so have dinner without me. You can eat whatever you like. Lies. If Daddy calls, just tell him I'm in class, okay? Liar. Be a good boy, okay? The laughter of an unknown man, hurried footsteps, and the sound of an engine starting. After removing my shoes, I found myself in an empty living room. I lay down on the sofa. My mind was blank while I stared at the hanging chandelier. He has a chandelier! I realized now this house was too big. So huge that it made me feel lonely. I guess this is his father's house. Jesus Christ. Back at the scene of the crime, there was no one in the dark alleyway. The cold moonlight shined upon the fenced construction site. The criminals always returned to the scene of the crime. A foolish notion, but there was no exception. One couldn't bear the self-doubt even when ignoring others' cases. Was there any evidence left behind? Had the cops started taking action? The girl took a deep breath while lighting up a cigarette. The heavy scent permeated her nose, but wasn't enough to erase the unease. She took out a newly bought cold medicine from her pocket. She wasn't sure why she did that. She didn't care about that boy's survival. She didn't even intend to let him leave here alive. Wow. So she wants to be a murderer now, okay. It was only now that she realized murdering someone was not easy. He was no longer just a thing once you talked to and touched him. He was a living person. He was not a thing before either. How much of a psychopath do you need to be to think that people are things? It was time to head back. She decided not to think further. She also hadn't slept properly for days now, just relying on nicotine and alcohol. But she had to keep going. For the ideal life she and her only family deserved. She's crazy.